Okay, Paul, we've got the Genie and the Genie Mini here. Can you tell us a bit about these?
Yeah, they're sister-brother products, sibling products to each other. The first was the Genie and remains today the one that does the majority of the heavy lifting work, because you can do these time lapses, you can do these video maneuvers horizontally on a slider or vertically. And when it's vertical, then you're carrying a lot of weight, because these can work with professional broadcast cameras, the likes of Blackmagics and Reds and Arris and Canons and what have you, right down to the compact mirrorless cameras of today, the Alpha 7s and what have you. So Genie does the heavy work, and that moves the camera along sliders or the slingshot product that we showed in the other video. The Genie Mini is its sibling and would either sit on the top or work in isolation on its own, and that does rotation. And you can actually put two of those together with the L bracket and end up with an arc movement. So one will work horizontally, one will work vertically, but the two together in combination creates that arc maneuver.
Excellent. So you get another axis of movement with those two working together.
That's exactly right.
And do they synchronize, or how do they link together?
So they link together these two by a cable, which is called the sync cable. The Genie Mini will talk to another Genie Mini over Bluetooth.
All right, I see, okay. And so you only have to set up the main unit and it will basically pass on that information.
That's right. They always know what the other one is doing, and they always know where they are in the sequence of the maneuvers that they've each got to do, so they know their role to play. And then the last cable you need is this one, which plugs into the camera port, and then the camera will be triggered for its stills to capture that time lapse. This happens to be the cable for a EOS 5D Mark IV, and that would fire the camera shutter to build up that sequence of time-lapse images.
Excellent. And so how are these powered? Are these internal batteries or?
That's exactly right. They're internal batteries. The Genie has a very long-lasting battery. The Genie Mini is much smaller. This you'd comfortably get a day's work out of, even in constant video motion maneuvers. Genie Mini less so, a couple of hours perhaps.
Excellent. And so you can just leave these sort of running on a long-term time-lapse?
That's the great thing. If you're a single camera operator, you trek out into a fabulous location, beautiful vista in front of you, clouds rolling over, weather patterns changing, that sort of thing, and you just leave them running. You have to sit there and wait it out.
Yeah.
That's the thing of time-lapse. It takes hours to build, seconds to watch back, so you have to prepare yourself well in advance. But you carry the kit out there, set it all up, and then just let nature take its course.
Brilliant. And how do you calculate how long the time lapse should be? And because sometimes you have to work out your frame rate and your duration and the overall end duration. How do you calculate all that?
If you're working with Genie on its own, everything is programmed via the screen.
Okay.
And the complicated mathematics of everything that you're talking about is in the Genie. It does that for you. So you tell it initially, the first part of the settings is how many frames per second your camera movie is recorded at, because it has to match that with the number of stills that it captures so that you can then edit the two pieces together. So let's say you're shooting at 24 frames per second. That's 24 individual photos that this has to have captured to create 1 second's worth of playback in your final video. So if you're going for 10 seconds worth of clip length within the total movie, that's 240 frames and therefore multiples thereof. So it knows that. You tell it what it's got to do in terms of how many hours or minutes or days or whatever it is that it's got to record the project for, and then what maneuver it's got to make, the distance over which it's got to travel from point A to point B. It works out how much it needs to move incrementally each time, synchronizes between the maneuvers where it takes the shot, and then goes to work.
Excellent. So the whole thing's controlled from here, when the camera takes its picture, when it moves along the slider, everything.
And that's the best bit of it. It's all integral. There are other systems you could look at. Most of them involve either a separate motor on the slider, gearing on the slider, plug-in units to program them, plug-in units to power them sometimes. Not here. Everything with Syrp is integral to the main unit. The Genie Mini, the only bit that's exterior, that you control over Bluetooth from an app on your phone. So you connect to it from your iOS or your Android device, you set it up, then tell it what to do, and then you can actually switch the app off. It's learned what it needs to do, and it carries on the sequence. If you put these two together, connect them via a sync cable, you can program them both from the app. So the Genie Mini acts as the interpreter. It receives the information and it passes on that information to the Genie and tells it what to do.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.